Hello and welcome into the Knicks-Verse post-game live. A rarity, but tonight demanded it. This was the second game of a back-to-back. The New York Knicks battled at OKC last night, came up short, could have completely changed the NBA narrative for the next month, maybe the rest of the season. But they didn't have enough last night. They fell short. SGA took over. I have a lot to discuss about this. Thank you guys for joining me here tonight. Lex, the Destroyer, thank you so much, brother. Best mod around. And everyone who's here, Gangstar, what's up? Chris Goodwin, Drew, what's up, brother? Robert Jaworski, Jose. All right, look. Let me focus here. Man, this was... I'm just going to be really, completely upfront with you guys. This team has, 88% of the ingredients necessary to win it all. 88%. No team has 100%. No team has 100%. Even the Celtics now. I put them at 95%, 94% of the ingredients. I mean, KP, who knows what's going to happen with him. They're dealing with injuries. They also have to deal with the fatigue of having won the cup, or the cup, because now we got the NBA cup. They won the championship last season. There's a hangover from that. It definitely impacts your all-out desire to win. It does. It dampens it. Okay? But they're still right there battling. They're still in second place behind the Cavs. The Cavs are hungry as fuck because we embarrassed them 2 years ago, and then last year they weren't able to improve upon that. But this season they're playing fantastic basketball. And OKC, fantastic basketball. We saw it last night. But tonight, we went to Chicago. Weird game. I'm not at all upset about the long halftime. Acknowledging Derrick Rose's accomplishments, especially since Thibs was his first coach. That's fine. These guys are pros. They should be able to deal with all of that stuff. The problem is, it's ironic. Actually, it's ironic that on the night that they celebrate Derrick Rose, who sustained a devastating injury, a career-altering injury under the head coaching of Tom Thibodeau, that tonight Thibs comes in on the second game of a back-to-back after playing 5 starters, 40 minutes. I think first time this has happened all season. I can't even remember what the last time this has happened. And he comes in and he is abusing Karl Anthony Towns, the one guy who's cooking, abusing him by minutes, and then he gets hurt. I've been looking. I still haven't heard any definitive information about his injury. If you guys hear it, please post it in the chat. Put some fire, some emojis and stuff, so I'll see it. I've been searching for it, but I am very concerned about that because Karl Anthony Towns had an amazing game tonight. Amazing game on the second game of a back-to-back. We couldn't pull this win out. Chicago's a weird team. They can light it up or they can just completely disappear. Tonight, they lit us up for 139 points. And we scored 126. Wasn't enough to win. Towns in the second half was a beast. Let's just get here. Look, I have no highlights tonight. We're going live. This is, I'm just going to discuss the state of the Knicks right now up to game 36, what I'm seeing. I think I'd also want to clarify a lot of where my viewpoints come from. Of course, I'm ecstatic by this team. I love this team. I love what they can do. I love that they're winning. This is so much better than anything, 6 years ago. No doubt about that. And I'm grateful for that. I'm grateful for that from Leon. I'm grateful for that from Bibbs, the attitude of the players themselves. 100% grateful for that. But that cannot let us become complacent. That cannot let us, kind of like, okay, thank you, sir. You gave us some wins. You gave us a little bit of a thrill here. No, that's not what this is about. This is the highest level competitive sports. This is the NBA. We, New York, should have a championship by now. We should have already had a couple of championships by now in my lifetime. They came close. Went to 2 finals. I'm not talking about when I was a kid. Like, I'm splitting that part. When I was a little kid, that was, of course, outstanding. That was when the romance began. But I love this sport so much. And I want my team to be at least the best team, at least for one season. And I was there when it was obvious that the Knicks were the only team that could defeat Michael Jordan. But because of stupid shit up here and fights and this and that, they weren't able to do it. And then they had those 2 years where Michael was out of the game, and they actually went to the finals. And they weren't able to overcome it. And that's okay. That's okay. You know what? They got to the finals. Do I wish Pat Riley had made a move and subbed out Starks for Rolando Blackman, at least for a stretch to see what he's got? Yes, of course. Of course. I'm not a win by my attitude is not just only championships will satisfy me. Obviously, I'm not, or else I would not be a Knicks fan still today. But I want the chance to compete for the ring. I want to root for my team to have that chance, that opportunity. This season is there. It's right there. I still doubt the Cavs. The Celtics are dealing with the hangover from winning last season, and they're still fucking delivering, no doubt. But they have injury issues. KP, we know that he's injury prone. So the opportunity is there. I fear no one else from the West except for OKC at the moment. Trades may happen. Some changes in lineups might happen. Other guys might give a chance. And Memphis, they may do something and then catch fire. But really, I don't fear. Even OKC, I don't fear. We had that game last night. We had it. And even SGA said it. Mad respect to SGA. If Nikola Jokic wasn't playing at the level he is, obviously SGA would be the probably unanimous MVP. So, mad respect for him and mad respect for his respect for the New York Knicks. He said this was a tremendous test for them, and they passed it. They knew. They didn't take it for granted. They were down 8 points in the third quarter to the New York Knicks, and they came out, turned it on the second game of a back-to-back. The exact reverse happened here with the Knicks. And why? In my opinion, it happened because Tom Thibodeau has not made the sacrifice to allow the bench players to find their groove. So, he just pulls them. He doesn't give them enough time. And then, then you look at the bench contribution. Oh, they only scored 5 points. So, of course, he can't, turn to the bench. No, that's not the way it works. You got to allow people time to develop, to become the best version of themselves. That doesn't happen, in practice. That doesn't happen at home, with their own little hoop in the back. No, it happens in game situations. They have to build a chemistry, And this is a blended lineup because we don't do, like in the past, it used to be Thibs. It was almost like a hockey lineup. Thibs would like bring in all 5 off the bench and all the 5 starters would sit, and then that's how it would go. So it just shows that Thibs is willing to play the bench. It's just right now he doesn't trust it. And I get it to some extent. I do. It's hard to sacrifice something now for a greater reward later. It's very difficult to do, but it has to be done. There's no way your starters can play 40 minutes, all of them, last night, and then today travel to Chicago, and then you have Josh Hart playing 40 and a half minutes. You have Towns playing 37 minutes. You can't expect them to be their best version of themselves. With that said, Karl-Anthony Towns scored 44 points tonight. Brunson scored 33. But the others did not show up. However, 126 points is usually enough to win a game. Right? So it was the defense. It comes down to the defense. And that is what Thibodeau is known for. That's his calling card. That's why he has a ring. Because he was the defensive coordinator for the Boston Celtics in the Kevin Garnett era. So he should be the one to figure it out. Oh, man. Let's get to this. Actually, let's go to this. I want you guys to see the box score here. Nice and big. Nice and big. Actually, let's go to this here. Let's see if... Here it is. Full screen. Josh Hart 0 for 5. 40 minutes and 23 seconds, 0 for 5, 0 for 3 from the three-point line. Connected on his 2 free throws. He did pick up 16 rebounds and 10 assists. That part was outstanding, but he had nothing offensively. Nothing offensively. He ended up a minus 14. OG Anunoby, in his 32 and a half minutes after his elbow slammed off the floor in the previous game, he comes out tonight, 12 points, 5 rebounds for him, a minus 8. Towns, 44 points on 58.6 shooting, 42.9 from the three-point line. Did miss 3 free throws, but still got to the free throw line 10 times. Beautiful. A double-double for him, 44 points and 16 rebounds, and 5 assists for him. Mikal Bridges, wasn't the offensive dynamo that he was last night. 18 points for him, 0 for 5 from the three-point line. Jalen Brunson, though. Jalen Brunson. Even though they only have him here for 1 turnover, the way he was approaching the game, especially in that second half, was incredibly frustrating, especially after the amazing first half that he had. He scored 26 points in that first half. 26. All right. Didn't we pick Knox over SGA? Yes, we did. We did. And my son Dylan was furious. He wanted SGA so badly. And I wasn't necessarily that high on SGA. I obviously thought he could definitely be an NBA starter. And I really didn't even know much about Knox. So at the time I was like, oh, well, okay, maybe Knox will turn into something. Boy, was that a big disappointment. That was a big, big, big blunder right there. The defense, especially in that second half, was an absolute nightmare. The New York Knicks gave up 76 points in that second half. They allowed the Bulls to shoot 63.2% from the three-point line, 60.4% overall. They were 12 of 19. The Knicks shot 15.4% from the three-point line. Here you go. This is it. That's the second half. You can't win. You cannot win in the modern NBA shooting that poorly from 3. It just doesn't happen. It just cannot happen. They did put up 30, even 33 pointers is just not enough. It's just not enough. All right, let's get back to this here. You're right. We are too predictable, Lex. We are. Just looking at the chat here. Shout out to Tony Menendez. None other. Ken loves Badwater. I love you. I love the names you guys come up with. All right. Dick's Muse. Cat, after playing 42 minutes last night, said, I'd lie if I said I wasn't exhausted. I think the film shows it, but I was willing to do whatever it takes to get the win. And then he comes out tonight and, I mean, puts up a 44 piece. He did everything he could to get us this win. At one point, we if it weren't for Cam Payne just running over, I think it was Kobe White on the left baseline, just ran over him as Landry Shamet was going up to hit a three. If he hadn't done that, and Landry Shamet's three gets counted because he hit the three, it would have been a 5-point game late in the fourth quarter. I think there were about 4 minutes left. Plenty of time. Knicks could have totally won. But instead, it got pulled, went to the other end, and I'm not even sure what ended up happening at the moment, but they definitely scored on the other end. So I think it went from a 5-point, potential 5-point game to a 10-point game instantly. And then that was it. They could never fully recover after that. Just truly incredibly frustrating there. Campaign 14 minutes for him, 2 of 3 from 3-point line. He gave us some nice minutes. He actually was the only Knick with plus in the plus minus. Here he is. The only Knick plus in the plus minus. He was a +5. We're definitely missing Deuce. There's no doubt. This shows the proof that Deuce is an integral aspect of the dynamic of this team, because he fits beautifully with the starters and he leads the bench in a beautiful way. So him being out really hurts us. But then I look over at OKC and what they're doing. They're missing guys. They're missing Chet. I mean, Chet's their second best player. I mean, in a lot of ways, Chet could actually be their most important player. Has that stopped them? No. They've won 13, 14 in a row. So you can win when you're missing some key players if your coach spends the time to develop the other players. On our team, on our roster, we have a guy named Pacome Dadier, who I have not seen one single piece of evidence as to why he's not playing. 0. Landry Shamet, he did get to play almost 17 minutes tonight, and I was really happy about that. I think as time moves forward, he will probably be the guy that Thibs begins to turn to often in that bench. We know he likes Campaign, but Sims is out. Kolek, I don't know why he doesn't turn to Kolek, but Kolek and Dadier, even though they're rookies, they could definitely contribute. There's no doubt. I think if Dadier had played last night against OKC, that may have resulted in who knows? Who knows what could have happened there? If you're going to lose, you might as well try to preserve the energy of your starters for as long as possible and the health of them. Thibs just does not think that way. And it's a huge bummer for me. Obviously, if you are a longtime watcher of this channel, you know that I've called for Thibs' head in years past. Absolutely. I literally dropped the video calling for his head, and the next day he made a huge rotation change. He sat Cam, he sat Evan Fournier, he put Grimes into the starting lineup, and boom, things started to change. And then his embracing of Randall's, mid-range game and all that was just atrocious. because the math doesn't allow that. You will lose games. If you shoot 18 and 16 footers and don't hit them at an insanely high clip, you're going to lose in the modern NBA because the three-pointer is a very dominant aspect of strategizing to win a game. So this season, when we started off, we were one of the best three-point shooters, but we have drifted away from that. Lately, we just have not been as impactful from the three-point line as we were in the beginning of the season. In fact, let me look this up here. We are now, in the past 10 games, the New York Knicks are 20th in three-point shooting efficiency, 35.1%. That also could coincide with the most minutes for our starters. Here we go. Pull this up right here. Most minutes. There it is. New York Knicks. When you're fatigued, it's harder to hit the long ball. There's just no doubt about that. It's just total rationale. And then when you try to move away from that strategy, it hurts you as well. You may pull off a game here and there, but in the long run, it's going to come back and bite you in the ass. Now, tonight was only the second time all season the Knicks have lost 2 games in a row. So it's not like we need to panic or anything at all. In terms of the Knicks, being a solid team, the Knicks, being a top 6 team in the Eastern Conference to, qualify for the playoffs, to have, a fair, maybe we'll get a good matchup in the first round and get past the first round. But once we get to the second round, if our guys are cooked, we're going to get cooked. So that's what I'm looking to that time. And I'm thinking, man, we need to preserve the energy of our starters now. Now is when we need to do it. Not in March, now. So that means Leon is going to have to step in because there is nothing that's going to change Thibodeau's mindset. He has reverted back to his stubbornness, where he just plays who because he's afraid. He plays who he feels will, I've stopped trying to figure out why he plays who he plays. Because that whole Elfrid Payton experiment and then picking Alec Burks over Emmanuel Quickley, who is now making $30 million a year as a starting point guard in the NBA. Even though he's been hurt, he hasn't played much, but that's what another team values him at. He could have been our starting point guard. This is the pre-Brunson moment, those few months before we ended up signing Brunson. Why not go with IQ as a starter? That stubbornness, I was already sick of it, and I've had to pull back and just embrace it because the reality is Thibs is not going anywhere. Definitely not this season. I don't think he's going anywhere this season. So the cries to have Thibs fired mid-season and maybe get Mike Brown, no, that's not happening. Leon doesn't work that way. He might if he'll let Thibs ride this out, and if we get pushed out in the second round or the first round even, that would be horrific. But let's say we get pushed out in the second round, I think he may look at finally making a move and basically giving Thibs his walking papers. But it's not happening in season. So I don't even want to think about that because I want to think about winning this season. And winning this season requires Tom Thibodeau to expand his rotation. Even tonight is a great example. Tonight is an amazing example here. So, all right, look at here. So really, he went 8 deep tonight after playing all the starters 40 minutes just last night. So he only went 8 deep. He could have given Sims, 8 to 10 minutes. He could have given Kolek, 8 to 10 minutes. Fuck, Matt Ryan could have gotten 5 or 6 minutes. bring these minutes down. Let these guys be a little fresher. At least, give them a chance to come in the fourth quarter, with some energy and some verve, and maybe they're the ones who take over the game. It's just not the way that man thinks. So we just have to deal within the realm of how he coaches. So in that respect, it's really going to take Leon making a trade for a player that Tom Thibodeau trusts enough to turn to and give him 20 or 25 minutes. Somebody, I hate to say this name, but like Alec Burks, he obviously trusts him. It would be one. I already dropped Brandon Ingram's name early in a couple of videos before. Unless Brock Aller truly is the Wizard of Oz, it's just no way with the second apron issues that we can actually pull that off. But somebody like that, somebody that would force Thibs' hand to play him. Maybe a Harrison Barnes, though I don't think the Spurs are going to give him up at the moment because the Spurs see that they could have something special. There's even discussion that the Spurs are interested in Jimmy Butler. So they're not looking at the draft. No, the lottery. They're looking at trying to be as good as they can be this season. So, oh man, it's incredibly frustrating. All right, man. All right, I'm going to take a break for a second. I'm going to read your comments here. The rookies have always been terrified to make mistakes playing for Thibs. Yep. Thibs defenders don't see that Thibs isn't perfect and doesn't get that there. Our coaches who have less talent and go 10 deep. Yep. Lex, this is true. I wouldn't have been mad if Thibs had sat all the starters and played the rookies for the rest of the game when we were down by 17. Totally. But he just doesn't think that way. He just does not think that way. So that being said, kind of brings me back to the point I was making before. The fact that he's not going anywhere and the fact that he won't just sit the starters and just, play the bench and the rooks when we're down by 17 means that an external force is going to have to come into play here and force the issue. I don't believe that TJ Warren, even though he is playing very well in Westchester and he has been a very productive pro, I don't think he has enough gravitas to force Thibs to play him. It's going to take, imagine, when the Warriors brought Andre Iguodala to the team. That was a great team, but they brought him in, and then it became an elite team. Maybe it can't happen during this season. Maybe it cannot happen by February 6th because of, all the moves we've already made. Maybe I'm being unrealistic about that. Maybe this is something we're going to have to wait for in the summer and then look at next year and we're yeah, let's go next year. The problem with all of that is injuries, time, opportunity. It's all here right now. This is the time. We do have Mitch. He's working to get back in. I'm 100% convinced if we had Mitch last night, we could have won that game. And who knows, maybe even win tonight. Or maybe he wouldn't even play in the second game. We don't know. But we definitely would have gotten maybe a split in these back-to-backs. So he could be, this X factor for us. And we know in the playoffs, he can deliver wins basically not by himself, but he can definitely be a huge impact player defensively in the playoffs. So we may have to wait for that. Let's see what we see here. Rick James. brick out. Sims for Delano Banton. Banton, he's interesting. He's interesting. Jay Wright for head coach. Let's see, what is it? Do you think they should fire Thibs? I do not think Leon should fire Thibs during this season. I don't. I think it would create too much of a, it'd be like setting off a grenade. And who knows how the players will respond. And the new coach, it's putting the new coach in a really tough spot to try and bring everybody back in together. And then, what scheme is he going to implement? Is there enough time for him or her to, implement the scheme and get them to all buy in, and where it starts actually showing benefits? Just not enough time for that. That's the unfortunate part. In my opinion, I would stick with Thibs for the remainder of the season, which is why it's really frustrating. It's really frustrating because I had seen such great evolution from him for the past 24 months, but now he is back to his stubbornness. Oh, man. Moses Brown over Sims. Yeah, I like that. But the problem is Thibs won't play him. It's like he puts guys out there. If they don't, do wonders in just the few minutes that they get, he pulls them and then it justifies his rationale for, playing starters 40 minutes. So it's almost like he creates that dynamic. It would take an incredibly special player to just come in and just completely explode from the bench for Thibs to finally change his mind. Thibs looks like the pig. We cannot fire Thibs, Sandman. We just cannot. We can't right now. We have to stick with him. And I will say this, just to put a little positive spin on all of this. Even though it does seem like Thibs has regressed a little bit in terms of his ability to adapt to the modern game, he has actually made great strides in the past 2 years, especially. He really has. And I don't believe that if he was truly against bringing Cat to this team and holding on to Julius, that Leon would have made the move. So obviously Thibs was in favor of that. So that to me shows that he is willing to basically expand and try things that maybe didn't work for him in the past. He's willing to do it. Unfortunately, right now we're seeing him in a weird situation where he's put himself into a corner by the rotation minutes distribution that he has been allocating, especially as of late. New York Knicks have 4 of the top 6 minutes per game players in the NBA right now, and they're all our starters. So it's beginning to have some wear and tear. And honestly, if you guys have seen anything about the Cat injury, please post it, because I haven't gotten any alerts yet. Just check again. Nothing yet. Because if we lose one of those starters, it's going to be very devastating, especially with the schedule now. The New York Knicks, including yesterday's game, have the most difficult strength of schedule for the remainder of the season. Number 1 in difficulty. Actually, let me pull this up. Here we go. Yeah, here we go. SOS is strength of schedule. Left is the games. Our opponents have an average of 527 winning percentage. So we are going to face some really tough competition. Memphis is number 2, Houston 3, Dallas. I mean, these are all West Coast teams. Indiana is the next East Coast team. Cleveland. All right, at least Cleveland is in the top 10, but a 507, just barely over 500, the rest of their opponents. We play 3 more games against the Cavs, 2 against OKC. Wait, I think that's only 1 against OKC. Let me refresh this. 1 against OKC, 3 against the Celtics, 1 against the Rockets, 2 against Memphis, and 1 against Denver. Those are our toughest opponents, and we do have the toughest schedule coming up. Yeah, fun. Oh, man. All right, here is the lead tracker. You can see the Knicks were pretty much in control of this game, especially at the half, and then we even built up the lead a tiny bit beginning that third quarter, and then just things went awry. And a lot of it, I hate to say it, but a lot of it was Mr. Jalen Brunson. He made... Oh, there's only 1 turnover here for Brunson? That's crazy. I could swear he committed at least 4. Yes, we have not beaten a top 6 team yet. No, we have not. We're in the process of figuring out how. That's what we're doing. We're in the process of that. Do I believe we can? Absolutely. I think this team is loaded. Are we a bit thin in terms of actual point production from the bench? Yes, we are. But do we have a quality, competent bench? Yes, we do. It just requires a coach who's willing to, run with them for a little while. Let them begin to develop some chemistry. But he's just not doing that right now. Oh, man. And it's just such a fucking bummer. But all that being said, look, the Knicks right now are 24-12. We're firmly in 3rd place, 3 games above the Magic. Now the Magic, look what the Magic are doing. They're missing their 2 best players, and they're still hanging in there. They're still in 4th place, just 3 games behind us. The Bucks, they're a weird team. The Heat, they have their issues with Jimmy Bryant, but yet they're in the playoff picture. That's the nature of the East right now. Atlanta Hawks, 18-17. Pacers in 8th at 500. And then the Pistons, shout out to the Pistons. I love what they're doing lately. Cade has definitely developed into an all-star level player. I saw even someone tweet out maybe we should be talking about him as an all-NBA, maybe 3rd team. We'll see. I don't think he's ready for that, but he's showing that he's trending in that direction. And then the Bulls, who we just lost to, so now they're 16-19. The Sixers, if they catch fire, in the last 10 games, they are 7-3. So obviously they're figuring some things out. They have Embiid back. They have Paul George and Maxey. All 3 are playing. They're still missing, I think, Oubre, a couple players. But, look, 7. They've won 7 of their last 10. They could eke up here, become a threat. Now, we are way up here, which is the beauty of that. And I do believe that we're probably going to end up here no matter what. The question is, in what physical condition will we be at that, by the end of this season? Last season, Randall was gone. OG was gone. He did make his way back for the playoffs, but, and then, he was compromised because of the elbow. And a lot, there was so much on Brunson's shoulders. And then he ended up getting hurt himself. So that's 3 of our starters ended up hurt by the playoffs, or even into the playoffs. I don't want to repeat that this season. So that means that Leon either has to make a deal that will bring in a player that will convince Thibs to play him a lot. Or he's just going to have to sit him down and say, hey, look, for the next, 4 weeks, even if we, become a 500 team, we need to reduce the minutes on the starters. So find a way to make, the Sims and Hakporty and Kolek and Dadier and Payne and Shamet and Matt Ryan, figure out a way to get some wins by playing those guys as well. I think that sounds pretty reasonable to me, right? I mean, that's not that tough. This is a long season. 82 games is a fucking it's a journey. To approach every single game the exact same way just doesn't make sense. Where, especially during the, the NBA season's dog days are more in March. But right now is when it matters. And there is 100% there is a correlation between too many minutes and injuries. Forget whatever that study that the NBA did. Actually, who's the guy? XJ from Hot Hand Theory. He discussed it himself, and he beautiful job recapping it all because of the way they phrased it. It helps their cause. The reality is, it's just a matter of the longer someone is on the court, the higher probability exists that they could get hurt. That's all it is. The more you drive, the higher up the chance that you're going to get into an accident. It's just numbers. It's just reality. It's just the way it happens. And then that's not even fatigue. So imagine fatigue playing out on the court constantly. Look what happened tonight with Towns. He was clutching at his knee, It was ugly. It was ugly. Ariel Helwani tweeted this out. Cat grimacing and limping for what felt like 10 minutes and yet no timeout called. And then he mercifully leaves for the locker room with the game out of reach was incredibly frustrating to witness and depressing. Jeez. Meek tweeted this out. I don't want to hear anybody say this injury is not related to minutes. Getting really tired of Thibs' stubbornness. Obviously a good coach, but cannot win a chip this way. And then Goshik? I'm not sure how you say that. A good coach. LOL. When you play your best player for 45 minutes, everyone is a good coach. Fire this guy. Well, we can't fire him. We cannot fire him. Oh, shout out to Sweetie. Thank you for the super chat. Sweetie says, what do you think the other coaches... Why do you think the other coaches doesn't say anything? Oh, the assistants, you mean? It's a great question. And that's something that we lost when Johnny Bryant left this team. Johnny Bryant was a key part of coaching this team the past few seasons. Especially if you watch him on the sidelines, he would constantly run up to Thibs and whisper things in his ear. And in terms of strategy, in terms of, subbing guys out here and there, he was constantly in his ear. He has lost that now. I haven't seen that. You're right. I haven't seen anybody doing that. Maybe Rick Brunson does it to some extent, but no. Thibs is flying solo right now. And that is a big problem as well. I think it was Foxy. Shout out to Foxy. I think it was Foxy who said maybe we should hire Mike Brown. Actually, no, it wasn't Foxy. Can't remember who it was, but someone sent me a message saying maybe we should hire Mike Brown as our bench coach next to Thibs. He obviously is a brilliant offensive mind. I would love that. I think that would be a great move. The problem is when you do something like that mid-season, you're admitting, that there's a fault, there's an error, that something needs to be fixed. And I even though it's okay, I would admit it. I would do it. I don't know if Thibs is there. And I don't know if Leon wants to put Thibs in that uncomfortable position. So those are the problems. There are personal issues to deal with that, but it would be an excellent move. Why not? If Jeff Van Gundy can be Ty Lue's assistant right now, why can't Mike Brown come over here, be the assistant for just a few months, to help us fucking win the chip, like the way Thibs did for Doc in Boston. So, I'm down with that, but you're right. I have not seen any of the assistant coaches really get in the Thibs' ear, at least during games. Offline, who knows? I don't know what happens there. Wiz, what's up, Wiz? Wiz PKLA. Thibs is our Achilles heel. He is too stubborn. No, yeah, he is, no doubt. I've been talking about his stubbornness. Man. He's back to that. He had evolved to a certain extent, like a great extent. No, total shout out to him. He did. He definitely has evolved, but I feel like he's regressed a bit now. He has regressed a bit. Look, I kind of don't even want to go there, but in reality, it may come a time where we see that Thibs just isn't the coach to help us get the chip. That time may come. And it may come in the offseason, depending on how things unfold right now, especially when you look at the caliber of players he has. I mean, he has an outstanding starting unit. So outstanding that he's petrified to play other players, except for Deuce. Campaign, sometimes he gets in there, but there's games where he plays 4 minutes, 5 minutes. I don't understand why a Tyler Kolek, a 4-year senior in college, he comes in, he's, fucking destroying G League, and every time he's on the court, for us, he's doing something positive. Is he the best defender? No, he's not the best defender. No, not at all. But is he adequate? Is he willing? Yes. Can he hit the fucking three? Is he a great passer? Yes. Yes, he is. Does he make life easier for his teammates while he's on the court? Yes, he does. Would more time with him on the court with them help over time? Yes, absolutely. There's evolution. There's progress. Why doesn't he do it? I don't know. Oh, buzzer beater. That's sneaky. JVG. I would do it. I'd pull the trigger in a second. But there's no way Leon will do that. Leon, his relationship with Thibs, I just don't think he'll do it during the season. Who knows, off season, it may happen, but I just don't see it now. Actually, there's a great little video cut out there in social media of Jeff Van Gundy on the sidelines of a Clippers game. Just him. He's like, he's like jumps up, he yells. It's hilarious to watch. You guys should definitely check that out. Absolutely, Dottie and Kolek should be playing some minutes, no doubt. Don't disrespect Kobe. No, I don't think I did. Or maybe that's for somebody else. UB Brown. I love UB Brown. All right, let's keep going here. Frank Barrett tweeted this out. The day after playing a grueling playoff intensity game and remarking how exhausted he was, Karl Anthony Towns left every ounce of sweat on the court to get his team back in a game. Can't question the dude's heart. Absolutely. He was phenomenal tonight, man. Phenomenal. And then Tommy Beer followed up with, weird. It was almost like the Knicks looked exhausted in the second half. Yes. Yeah, I know Tommy Beer is totally on board with the minutes being an issue. It's just no doubt. It's a no-brainer. It's a no-brainer. And I appreciate the comments. People say, hey, you know, I forgot who it was. You know, I work 8 hours a day. No one's worried about me. I'm worried about you too, man. You know, burnout is a real thing. When I worked in advertising, man, I used to work like 15, 18-hour days sometimes for long stretches. I experienced burnout. It happens. It's a very real thing. Did I try to do the best work I possibly could during that stretch? Absolutely. Absolutely. But eventually you do get a little cooked. It happens. You need a break, you need some distance, you need to refresh. And, you know, it doesn't always happen in the off season. So during the season, you do have to manage those minutes. Definitely. Especially with the way that you got to remember too, and you know, in years ago, before social media and before 24-hour sports channels, before all of that, there was a lot of quiet time where players are just on their own. They could just deal with things and just work through things together. But now I'm sitting here on YouTube and you guys are watching this and we're discussing it all. And that just amps up the intensity. You know, it's just, you know, it's not an excuse. It's just the reality of the world today. So that is also a big part of the mental fatigue aspect, along with the physical fatigue. And we're seeing everything. You know, we also get to watch games. You know, we can record games. If you have NBA Pass, you can watch every game and like scrub back and forth. So the scrutiny is much higher. You can see what's the mistakes that players make or the great things that players do. You can see it all the time. That wasn't the case 30 years ago. You know, you can kind of like fly under the radar and figure a few things out quietly and then go on a nice little 10-game winning streak and then, oh, look what the Pistons are doing now. You know, it's just not that way nowadays. And you just have to accept that reality as a player. Mr. Vasquez, made by Juan. Man, it's a wrap. The Thibs presser is fucking awful. No goddamn accountability. The media don't hold him accountable. Leon don't hold him accountable. And Thibs don't hold himself accountable. We're fucked. I totally respect the sentiment here. I don't think we're fucked. Because we actually do have some amazingly phenomenal players. I mean, OG is just something special. McCall has been phenomenal. We know Brunson is MVP caliber. And then Cat is playing total MVP caliber. And then Josh Hart is just like the most amazing sixth man who's starting. You know, he's like that. So we're not fucked. We're not. We just have to figure out the minutes, the rotations, even if it costs us a game or two here and there, so that we'll have more later on down the road. That's all I'm saying right now. But I totally respect this sentiment, and it is possible if this shit keeps going that this will be the reality. TJ Warren for the Westchester Knicks this season. In 15 games, he's averaging 25.1 points on 52% field goal shooting, 6.7 rebounds, 3.6 assists, 1.9 steals. He's a plus 146. Should he get a shot? Absolutely. Absolutely. Why not? Let's bring him up. He's got great size. He's a seasoned NBA player. It's possible. I mean, I don't know. I don't have that much faith that Thibs will completely turn to him like the way he turned to an Alec Burks, but you never know. You bring him up, get him on that bench. He tries them out. He hits a few shots. Some things go, you know, the right way. Thibs starts, okay, let's start, you know, incorporating him a little more, and then you don't have to play OG 42 minutes. You don't have to play McCall. You know, McCall is the number one minutes guy in the NBA, 39.2. Maybe you can bring that down to 36, 37. It helps. All that will help in the long run. So he could be an interesting player. TJ Warren. Yeah, Thibs would be like, TJ who? True, that's the problem. He is incredibly stubborn. Oh man, I think we've come to the end of this. Yes, we have. All right, well, I want to thank everybody for joining me here tonight. Had to go live with you guys. I appreciate your feedback. I'm going to read all these comments later on. If you have any other thoughts and feelings, just drop them in the regular comment section. And no, sweetie, what did he say? Did you hear that Greg Anthony today said it's not Thibs' fault? I did not hear that. If anybody knows a little more about that, just send me that info. The Thunder beat the Knicks coming from a previous game. Shame on Thibs not to take advantage of that. He's hard-headed, that's right. G3. Let's see what else. Jay Wright. A lot of Jay Wright mentions here. Hey, he could be the guy in the offseason. And then we could get Dante back. We can trade for him. Because we can't trade for Dante during the season. We have to wait a full year. Yeah, Deuce was definitely missed tonight. He was incredibly missed tonight. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for watching this. I'm going to wrap it up here. It's not the end of the world. Unless Cat is gone for weeks, which we haven't heard. I don't know. I have a feeling it's just like a little fatigue, and it's just kind of who knows. I have no idea. I'm just hoping. I'm trying to be an optimist here. I'm hoping that it's not that big a deal. Maybe he misses one game. Let's just hope that is. But let's hope he's ready to play OKC next Friday. That's really what I care about. I really want to win that game next Friday at Madison Square Garden against OKC. That would kind of reset things, and we have the ability to beat any team in the NBA any night. There's no doubt about that. And in a 7-game series, I think we're a tough fucking out for anybody. I mean, anybody. So in that respect, I feel good about it. But we got to get there. We just got to get there. All right. Thank you so much for watching this. Again, my name is George. Please subscribe to the channel if you haven't yet, and hit the thumbs up button for me. And drop your comments, especially if you're watching this later on. Drop your comments. I love all the comments. I try to read them all. And it's going to be interesting. I'm curious to see how the next couple of days unfold. Let's hope for the very best for Karl Anthony Towns. All right. I will see you around the Knicks-Verse.